Okay.
DVD here on 1025, 1063 The Game. D Mace, Adam Vingan, and Willie Donick, presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Should be Willie Donick and D Mace today.
Yes.
Nashville is a bit of a traffic hot spot these days, so Willie's running a little bit late. I will hold down the fort with D Mace, which D Mace, I don't know if I've ever told you this. We've never been on the air together.
No, we haven't.
It is an absolute honor to be sitting here.
Oh, well, thank you.
Now we can finally debate who has better shoe game, because
yeah.
my dad.
We already know that.
My dad. I mean, I wore my Jordans for you today. I was really excited because I knew I was going to see.
Okay,
Derek
I
Mason
see
today.
him. I got on Air Force One today,
Okay.
stomping in my
I
Air
rock
Force
the Air
Ones.
Force. I rock with the Air Forces. But the more important thing today is the Titans' schedule for this season is out.
Yes.
A lot of people are very upset with no primetime spots for the Titans this year, which I understand. You have the number one pick. D-Mess, I'm really, really interested to get your opinion on the schedule. What do you think? What's your initial reaction? What does this season look like for the Titans?
For all those that thought just because you finished fourth in your division out of four, that you would then essentially earn the right to have a quote unquote easy schedule. And as I've been trying to tell people for the last how many years I've been on these airways, in the NFL, there is no easy schedule.
Preach.
Stop it, people.
Amen.
I don't care if you finish 0-16 as the Detroit Lions did some years ago. There's no such thing the next following year as a easy schedule, okay? There's not. So, looking at the Titans schedule, they start off the season with 2 playoff teams. How much harder can that be? And I get, when you're looking at the LA Rams and the Denver Broncos, you think they're fringe playoff teams,
Yeah.
It wasn't like they went from last to first place and just, blew the doors off. Denver had to work themselves into the playoffs,
Right.
as did the LA Rams. But yet and still, these are playoff teams.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I don't understand how the schedule gets lighter because listen, they got to play the guys within their division.
They play some tough coaches
Exactly.
this year, too.
Absolutely.
Especially those first 2 games. You're playing the great Sean Payton with the Denver Broncos.
Mhm.
Then you're playing Sean McVay with the LA Rams. Other coaches they play, I mean, Mike Vrabel, of course, comes to town. You have your divisional opponents.
Mhm.
Pete Carroll with the Las Vegas Raiders. I always try to say Oakland because
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
still
I'm
in
sure
there.
you're way
Yeah,
worse than I am because you
exactly.
played with them. But it's, of course, Andy Reid comes to town with the
Mhm.
Chiefs. You're right. There are 100% no easy schedules here in the NFL because guess what? Every team doesn't know they're bad yet,
Yeah.
especially right now, and they're all trying to beat you.
Exactly.
They're
So it's like
simple as that.
when you go into a schedule, when you look into a schedule, it's about when you and I talked about this yesterday with Willie. It's about when you catch that particular team, because the NFL is a war of attrition.
Right.
If you're a good team and you stay healthy, you will reap the benefits of that. If you're a good team and you start to get injured, you won't reap the benefits because a lot of those guys that you count on are now injured and on the sideline. So it's about when you catch a team. And again, I think this is a hard schedule, but say in November and say something's wrong with Nico Collins or, another guy on their defense is dealing with an ailment and you play them. Now, what you thought was going to be a really hard game, it's still going to be hard, but now you don't have to worry about particular players
Right.
being available for that team. So it's all about when you catch a team, is that team dealing with injury? Are they not dealing with injury? But to start the season off, man, you had 3 of your first 5 games, I believe, if I'm reading this correctly. 3 of your first 5 games are against playoff opponents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is that again, kind of how is that an easy schedule? I don't, and again, I know, the Rams and Denver are fringe
Right.
playoff teams, but
They're developing teams
exactly,
too.
absolutely, along with Houston.
Yeah.
So you play 3 playoff teams right off the bat. 3 in the first 4 weeks. Let's just say that.
Looking specifically at the Broncos, I think honestly, they couldn't have picked a much tougher challenge for Cam Ward to start off the season.
Mm-hmm.
Denver has a great secondary.
Yes.
Surtain, the second, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a top 3 corner in the NFL. They have a great defense. A couple texters on our text line say, how do you explain the Atlanta Falcons getting and the Miami Dolphins getting 5 primetime games? We talked about this a little bit before the show. It's the roster.
Yeah.
I mean, who would you rather see? Would you rather see, Tony Pollard in primetime or Bijan Robinson?
You got a point. It's market. Atlanta's a bigger market.
Mm-hmm.
And again, their team is a little bit more advanced than what the Titans are.
Yeah.
They have guys that have solidified themselves in this league as marquee players on their roster. And it seems like that's a team that is trending upwards.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill.
Exactly. Miami's
Jalen
the
Waddle.
same way.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you can't, as much as you would say, yeah, those teams, Miami didn't make the playoffs last year. Atlanta didn't make the playoffs last year. So why do they have so many, primetime games? It's one, it's the market, and then 2, it's the product. Look at the players on their team. Who would you rather see? No offense to anybody on the Titans, but wouldn't you rather see Waddle, Tyreek Hill,
especially on the offensive
side?
side?
Yeah,
like Atlanta.
Jalen Ramsey on the other side, he's still there, right? They hadn't traded him away.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. So they hadn't traded him away. You're looking at a team that, if they stay healthy, this is a team that's proven they're going to give you 30 points a game almost.
Especially on the offense.
Exactly.
Like I look at the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, they have a young quarterback in Michael Penix, but you have Drake London, who's an upstart young receiver, Bijan Robinson, who's probably a top 10 running back, in my opinion. Kyle Pitts is in a prove-it year. Lots of, explosive players on both teams, offensive-wise. And like you said, it's the market. I think both teams have a bigger market than Nashville.
And I was, because you go down and you look at it, they have the schedule of the primetime games, so Thursday night games anyway. And I saw that New England had. I'm like, seriously? I get the history of the Patriots, and I get Mike Vrabel and Drake May. I get that, but they won just as many games as the Titans won last year.
Yeah.
And they were in the hunt for the first pick in the draft, just like the Tennessee Titans. So
thank you, Joe Milton.
If New England gets a primetime game, albeit a Thursday, why isn't that the Titans don't get a Thursday game?
I was saying this
at least that
about when the last hour of Chase and Big Joe, I was saying this missed opportunity, in my opinion, to put Titans and Patriots on Thursday Night Football. It's a low risk primetime game, but the Patriots, I think, have the national audience enough to go in and watch that game. And plus, there's so many storylines riding on it with Vrabel coming back. And I feel like that should have been the primetime game personally. But like I've been saying, the Titans haven't earned a primetime spot, in my opinion.
No, you're right. But listen, a lot of these games, I think majority of their games are tentative to a schedule change, time change. So
yes, flex
if
is
the Titans are doing well, if they start off really good, or they start off competitive, meaning after, let's say, 6 games, they're 3-3 or 4-2, somewhere around there, then I think they get flexed into later games.
Right.
I think they get flexed possibly into a primetime game. Now, if they're doing, if they're playing playoff level football toward the end, I can see a Kansas City on December 21st being flexed out and played later in the evening as the marquee game. I can see 49ers maybe being flexed to a later game, depending on how the 49ers are doing. So just because they don't have a primetime game as we sit right now, and I believe they should, I really do, but I understand the circumstances, that doesn't mean it's going to end up that way as the season starts to evolve.
Let me do a quick little Ask D-Maze, because I never get to talk to you. So as a player, was this something that factored into you guys? Were you guys always looking, we really want to play who was good at the time for you guys? We really want to play Baltimore on Sunday Night Football. Was this something that you guys just really look forward to? Is this more of a fan thing?
When you see it, I think players do, because we listen. I'm not gonna sit here and be like a coach and say, oh, and I heard Coach Brian Callahan said, man, I just looked at the first 3 games. After that's just no. We all pick up the schedule and we all look at it like, because it's in your face. How can you just look at the first 3 games? You can't just look at the first 3 games.
You mean to tell me Mike Vrabel doesn't have October 19th at noon, week 7 circled in red ink?
So everybody sees the schedule. When I look at it, everybody sees the schedule. Now, I know you don't put as much emphasis on the game later because you got to prepare for what's in front of you, but everybody looks at that schedule, and we see when we played Baltimore, when we played Pittsburgh, and a lot of times it was a primetime game when we played either one of those teams,
because you guys were good.
Yeah, because both teams were good. All 3 teams were good at one particular time. So you knew that, at least for us, that period I was here, that 8 years, we knew at a point we were going to get at least 1 or 2 primetime games.
Right.
And we knew possibly one was going to be the Baltimore Ravens or the Pittsburgh Steelers, or it may be Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and then another team.
Yeah.
And in a
throw the Rams in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we would get a primetime game. So that's the way we looked at it. It was like, okay, we got them on this day. Oh, that's going to be a big game. Monday night. Oh, okay. But then you look at it, but then you put it away. It's like, okay. And then you go about your business. But to say nobody looks at it. Exactly. No, man. Everybody looks at it. Because one, you got to find out when your bye is.
Right.
And you got to prepare now for your bye.
Book
when
your
it
plane
comes.
Tickets.
Exactly.
Get ready to go to Cabo.
But what I'm saying, even coaches, they got to prepare for the bye week.
Right.
Depending on, and they may have to alter it depending on how healthy or not healthy the team, how healthy the team is.
You guys probably did like retreats or,
Yeah, some guys would get, it's mandatory now, because back then it wasn't. I think we would, I think Thursday or Friday would be our last day.
Yeah.
And then when we get Saturday, Sunday, we have to report back Monday. So it was really only 3 days. A lot of guys just stayed around there. A lot of guys didn't do anything, just rest. But now I think they have to have almost a week off. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. So it's a little bit different now. Guys can probably go somewhere for a few days, come back, and still have time to rest.
We see it all the time. Like you'll see Kyler Murray going to College Game Day over in Norman, Oklahoma to cheer on his Sooners or something.
Exactly.
Like
so you see it every so often now, more so now than you did back when I was playing.
Right.
So
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, so
it's a different league.
Yeah. But you have to look at things like this. And try to figure out, okay, where's our bye week? And then from there, you just kind of put it down. But as you look at the schedule, getting back to the Titans, this period, you look at the schedule, and it's a difficult schedule for them. And they're going to need this team to develop, and they're going to need the quarterback to develop, at a pace that's going to, be able to be sustained throughout the season, because it's going to be a long season for Cam Ward and this bunch. And they got to find a way to, one, stay healthy, and how to sustain that development of the quarterback. Because if they can sustain that, like Washington did, like Houston did, then you're going to tend to have more success as the season goes on.
Yeah. Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Gorilla is on our phone line to talk about market size. Gorilla, welcome in.
What's going on? Hey, D-Mates, I just want to let you know I still ain't forgave you, man.
What happened?
I still ain't forgave you, man, for leaving us, man.
Hey, listen, I didn't, okay.
Let's leave it alone. I'm going to throw up if you start talking about it. I'm going to throw up. Let's leave it alone.
It wasn't my fault, man. It wasn't my doing.
Hey, I don't want to hear about it. I'm serious. That broke my heart, man. Just like the Derrick Henry thing. I mean, they just keep
man.
Let me be quiet. But anyway, guys, we're not in a small market. We just a poor product on the team. The Nashville market, we're in the top 15 for our city sizes. I mean, we trump Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Buffalo. We're much larger than those markets. And then our TV market is larger than about as large as some of your larger markets, because we take on the entire state. And we are unique because we have 3 cities, 500,000 plus in our state. Every Sunday, those guys have to watch. If I'm marketing, I'm going to market in Tennessee based on that because I have a potential of hitting more households because that Titans game has to be played in the South, the West, the Mid, and the East. So I just think it's just the product that we have, man. We got a poor product. And until we start winning, we're not going to get that respect. Nobody wants to watch us, like you said, Mace. That's all it is.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Gorilla. Thank you for the call. We appreciate it. When we're talking about smaller markets, and I understand the people that are here, but when you look at the markets throughout the NFL and where the NFL would rather turn their cameras to, Nashville, it's a popular city. I get that.
It's a growing city.
It's a growing city. I get that. But when you're talking about the teams, they're surrounded by Atlanta. You got Atlanta to the south of you. You got Miami to the south of you. Then you have DC. You have Pittsburgh. You have New York. So you're surrounded by all of these big markets, Chicago, Detroit. You're surrounded by all these big markets. You're not going to get, if your team is not producing at a high level, you're not going to get one of those marquee games.
Right.
And we're just talking about this side of the U.S., not even the West Coast. You're just not going to get those games that maybe, we talked about in Miami. Miami had a bad record, but what? They got more games. Why? Because people tend to want to see the Dolphins play rather than seeing the Tennessee Titans play, whether, they're encompassing the whole state or not. It's when they look at Nashville, they don't look at that as a sort of marquee market for showing Titan games throughout the nation.
And to Gorilla's point, a little bit off topic. You left here in 05, 06?
04 was my last. Yeah, 04 was my last.
Okay, I'm gonna make you feel old. I was 1 when you left, so I forgive you for leaving. I never got to see Derek Mason play for the Titans, but
yeah, that was many moons ago. But Gorilla, I didn't choose to leave. Really, they pushed me out the door, man.
I like to say I'm glad that you. I'm glad. Just as a
I went to the
bummer,
Ravens, man, and it ended up, working out well. But that doesn't mean that I don't, I didn't enjoy and love my time here in Nashville so much so that I moved back and make my residence here. But this is what happens. Whether you're here in Nashville, Jacksonville deals with it, even though they do have a primetime game, I believe, don't they? Jacksonville has one. There's 2 teams without a primetime game: the Titans, and there's another team.
Let me do some research.
Jacksonville may have a primetime game. It's hard for markets like that, because they all came into being right around the same time. Jacksonville, Carolina, Tennessee. Baltimore was the old Cleveland Browns.
They have one on week 5 against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
So it's the Titans and another team that don't have one. So it's just, if you're not winning, there's no incentive to show you on television throughout the nation.
Unless you're a big market. Nick and I were talking earlier. The Dallas Cowboys could go, 3-14, and they're going to be on Sunday Night Football.
Exactly. It's still going to, people still want to see the dumpster fire that is the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
It's a reality show to them. And fortunately, but I guess unfortunately, your dumpster fire hadn't got that bad to where people actually want to see it.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's unfortunate because it seems like outside of the city of Nashville, there aren't a lot of people that care.
Exactly. And that's the point. And I'm, right now that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because they're not winning.
Right.
So it's a good thing. I hope it do change this upcoming season, and I believe it will. But when you're not winning, people don't care. Right. They don't even care that you're not winning.
Yeah.
Only people that care that you're not winning is those that are here in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you can't expect to get primetime games when people are lukewarm on you when you're winning, and then when you're losing, they don't care about you at all.
Yeah. I mean, the Titans they're not a national brand. They're not in the echelon of Dallas, Green Bay, Philadelphia, teams like that.
And it's not that they can't get there.
Right.
But you gotta start doing more winning.
Those are,
especially
I mean,
now.
those are story.
You got the quarterback. Hey, you got the quarterback. If y'all start winning and this quarterback hits, you will see yourself on prime time more times than not.
Real quick before we go to break, let's go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and welcome in our good buddy Eric. Eric, what's going on, my friend?
Hey guys, I just want to tell you, I told Big Joe and Chase now, D-Mace, I'm telling you, I got a job interview.
Hey,
tomorrow.
congrats, man.
Attaboy.
Congrats.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're knocking out the park.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I will too. Even though I know it's technically not Ask D-Mace and dad joke, I got a dad joke for you. I think you'll get a kick out of this if you like this.
My first Eric dad joke. I can't wait.
Okay, so why did the Scarecrow win an award?
Why did the Scarecrow win an
Don't tell me.
award?
I can get this one.
I don't know. Something about him standing all day. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something to do with that. Because he was outstanding in his field.
No, I like that. Outstanding in his field.
I feel satisfied with my first.
I like that.
Yeah. But real quick about the Titans. I'm kind of not surprised to get the prime time game. I thought they could, but I thought it was interesting that, say, for instance, the Patriots, they got 2 at Buffalo, and they even got one against the Giants, which I think is a Thursday night game. In fact, the Giants got 3 primetime games, even though they were bad competing for the #1 pick against Kansas City, Philadelphia, and the Patriots. So I think a lot of times it has to do with the major markets and perspective. And even though they're bad, it's just that happens. And even the Cowboys, who I don't think they're going to be good, could get a lot of games flexed out. They've got 4 Thursday night games, which has the first time in NFL history a team's got 4 Thursday night games. They also have 2 Monday night games and 3 Sunday night games, that's a total of, I guess, like 7 or 8. It's 4, 3. They got 9 games. So, and they could get flexed out of some of those. In fact, 3 of the last 6 are on the road, they've got like 3 in the last 6 weeks. So there's a strong possibility they could get flexed out of those. And they've got one of the toughest, if not the toughest schedules in the NFL. I know it's top 5 with what Dallas got. So we'll see. Guys, we'll get off. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Eric. Appreciate it.
I mean, he kind of proved our point. He said the New York Giants, it's a decent-sized brand.
Mm-hmm.
People, like you said, want to see the dumpster fire that is the New York Giants. They have a young quarterback. They have a young receiver. They may not win a lot of games, but people want to see that dumpster fire. Mm-hmm. It's a reality show. Exactly.
And Titans haven't developed a reality show just yet. I'm glad you have it because it hadn't gotten that bad, even though it has been bad. But let's start trending upward now.
All right. Willie Donick has entered the building. So I'll get the hell out of here. This is DVD.
Appreciate it, Connor.
Of course. I'm always happy to hold the fort down with D-Mace. DVD coming right back here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Happy Thursday, everyone. This is Derek Mason. You heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a resolution or some type of goal to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. But I got some news for you and I got some solutions because check this out. I'm going through the same thing, okay? I want to drop a couple of pounds. So I've made my appointment next Wednesday. Almost a week from today. Is it almost? Yeah, that'd be close to a week from today. Next Wednesday, I've made my appointment to go see my cool friends over at Cool Springs MD because I'm frustrated a little bit with holding on to a few pounds here. And you know what they're going to do for me, as they're going to do for you? They're going to give me a comprehensive weight loss program, which will be led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and address yours and my root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com 2 days to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you, because I did it. Now you do it. Okay? That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
DVD is back. D. Mace, Adam Vingan, Willie Donick, presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And it hasn't been an ordinary day for me because I just thought about the Sandlot earlier today on my way to the station because I got myself into the biggest pickle any of us had ever seen, as they say, as Smalls says in the movie. I did the dumbest thing
So do share with
that I have done in a long time. I've done some dumb things. I've done a lot of dumb things on a daily basis. I do dumb things. This was one of the dumbest.
Okay, is it to this magnitude?
Because what did my text tell you? I texted you and David. That I was going to be running late, right?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
And why did I say that was happening?
You said a little traffic.
Traffic.
Because okay, was it this bad? Because when I find myself doing something like that, just dumb, I always got to call somebody and tell them that I did it. I either talk to my daughter.
I thought
either
about
talk to
not
my
telling
daughter.
anybody. I thought about not telling anybody because it was so dumb and just faking it. Like, yes, it was traffic because it was traffic. It's always traffic, right? But
It's Nashville. There's so
this
much
was
traffic.
not. This was not a conspiracy by me to avoid
Uh-huh.
talking about the schedules, which
Okay.
which I think is so boring.
Hey, we got
It's
to talk
so
about it. People
boring to
love
talk
it.
about
Willie.
a schedule.
People will love it.
I
People
don't
love
like
it.
talking about the schedule,
People
but
love it.
I know people
People
love
love
it. So I was prepared to come in and talk about the schedule. I was okay
You
with it.
sure?
I left my house at the normal time that I always leave. Of course, we're not starting at the normal
Yeah.
time. We got the different time. So I leave the house,
Mhm.
and it's always when I get on the highway from East Nashville around the stadium, it gets congested,
Little
right? So
congested,
I never know. If,
Look.
yeah, exactly.
You
It gets bottlenecked,
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff. So sometimes I get on my phone and I hit Waze
Mhm.
to tell me which way to go, just in case there's really big traffic, right?
And Waze usually kind of take you
It'll
to
take
the
me because there's
easiest
different ways for me to
route
get
or
that
route.
out this way towards where we are out near the airport. So, so today, I'm like, hey, I'll make it. Everything's good. It's a little congested. Usually
Uh-huh.
clears up here. I hit my Waze, and it's telling me to go instead of out east towards the airport
Uh-huh.
to take it back towards downtown.
No.
Go the other way.
Okay.
I'm like, man, there must be some real traffic. So that's what I texted you guys. So I hit Waze, and it's telling me to go
Uh-huh.
65 going south. Oh, wow. We got to go around some stuff. What's going on? Must be a wreck.
Uh-huh.
So I text the guys, hey, guys, I got a wreck or something. I got to go around it. I'm going to be a couple minutes late. My thing says like 12:03.
Uh-huh.
I start heading that way. And I'm like, where is this sending me? How bad is this wreck? This is bad. So now I'm getting, I'm like, this can't be right. So I keep going, and it's sending me a different way. And the time is going further and further back because here we are at 12:32. I got here at 12:20.
Hold on.
So-
Hold on. Tell me.
So what do you think I did?
Guess.
What do you think I did?
I think you put your own address in, and it was taking you back around.
Close. You're close. My thumb hit the wrong address. I did. I hit the. I don't even know what address it was. Somewhere. It was somewhere we went. I went recently, and it was an old address that was recent addresses because this address here always pops up first. So I just I hit it.
Yeah.
I hit it with my thumb. Hit the wrong address. I hit the wrong address. I don't realize it until I'm way out of the way. And I said, I got to reset this. Something's going on. Did I? And I and as soon as I saw it, I said, you idiot. I yelled this in the phone. And I'm kind of back to square one. I'm like, oh my God.
So where did you have to start from?
Well, I ended up way over by 100 Oaks. That's like I'm over. I got to go back
100
Around.
Oaks.
And it's
Well,
still,
you should just get off on
and
Thompson
it's
Lane.
still real congested, and nobody's going fast, and there's 5 trucks. So I'm just like,
Should
what
get
am
on
I
Thompson Lane,
doing?
man. You should just hopped on Thompson Lane.
So let me
check it
just
out.
thank Connor for being the guy ready to go. He
Oh,
was
man.
always the guy that was in the bullpen. He's ready to go.
Oh, I've done that
And he
before.
stepped in there and did a good segment with you and talked about the schedule.
Exactly. Get the schedule sort of kind of out of the way, but I've done that
So
before. Where
if anybody has done
I'm your
that,
Edwin Diaz, Willie. Don't worry.
yes, thank you. But if anybody's done that, I would love to hear, just so I feel better about
Yeah.
myself. Or am I the dumbest guy in Nashville right now?
I mean, probably at this particular
It's
moment.
not like I was going to someplace I'd never been. I'm just going to work, and I'm just trying to make sure I'm not getting
But
jammed up
Willie,
on the way to work.
But Willie, no,
And if I hadn't turned Waze on, I would have made it fine.
Willie, but you
Because
had
there was no traffic jam.
Willie, you had to have come to a point. See, this is where the mistake was made, Willie.
Okay, where was the mistake made?
Because you came to a point where you knew
Right.
Waze was wrong.
Right.
You
And
knew
I
it was
don't-
wrong,
And
but
I'm
you-
reluctant
yes,
to second guess
But
Waze.
absolutely. You didn't second guess
I
it.
should have gone with my instinct. I've
Exactly.
lived in this city for a long time. I should know.
Absolutely. You riding around here like a tourist.
I'm ashamed of you, Willie.
God,
terrible.
Willie. God, that was your
Did we have
mistake.
Charles Barkley say, "Terrible"? That was
Terrible.
terrible.
Terrible, man. Terrible.
Terrible.
That was just utterly
Okay, hit
Terrible.
Can somebody call me and set me straight or set on the text line? Has anybody done that? It's like, did we overdo the Waze? I think Waze is important. But when
But
you're going
listen.
to work, like I wanted to know, do I go this way? There's a couple alternate ways you can go. If one gets jammed up, one's a little faster.
But Willie,
I hit the wrong button.
Willie,
You went the wrong way.
You know these
Well,
streets.
wrong
You know
way.
these streets better than many. And as I do, because I don't use Waze. I use the other one, Google Maps, which I shouldn't because Waze is better. I get it. But anytime I put it in and there's any discrepancy, I turn it off and then I say, okay, what's the quickest way? Or I will reroute it to see if it's telling. No, because I know if I'm going the wrong way, I just get off, man. Just get off. I'm just like, nope, I'm not using it. And I just start taking streets that I've driven down, so back streets and anytime I'm trying to get home coming from here, because especially now that we're doing the evening show, well, sort of going an hour or later, I got to navigate around the Hillsborough High School traffic. So because I've driven that path so many times, I know all the streets, Willie. That's like you. You should know all the streets, man.
Well, George used to get all of it. George Plaster is going to join us at 2 today for his weekly visit. He used to really get on me for not knowing.
Exactly.
He said, you've been in Vanderbilt for 4 years and now you're out of college.
You shouldn't have
You
to
don't
use
know
that.
any of the streets? Come on. I'm like, how do I get to Mount Juliet, Murfreesboro? He's like, what are you doing?
Right.
You've been here for 4 years. I was
How
like, I never left the
funny.
campus. I didn't have a car.
You never left West End.
Willie, you have no
I know
excuse
West
now.
End. Yeah.
Willie, you have no excuse now.
Yeah. No,
But that was funny.
But this was a veteran mistake. This was a rookie mistake by a veteran.
Yes.
That was just pitiful.
You pulled
Just
a Will Levis.
terrible.
You pulled a
What
Will
was I
Levis.
doing? Okay, now Aaron on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com, says he did something worse than me, which I find hard to believe. But Aaron, help me out here. Make me feel better.
Okay, so I was visiting my mom's house and I sent my wife the address. Turns out she was supposed to go to like some little small town. She ended up 2 hours away in a totally different city, all because I did one club on the address.
Oh no.
Like,
2
I
hours?
kid you not. I kid you not. She's like, yeah, it should be pretty close by. I don't see her. Then she's like, I think she's in like Evansville, Indiana.
Wow.
And I'm like down by the border with Kentucky.
Oh,
She was like
Lord.
2 hours away. All because I messed up on the Waze address.
Oh no.
Oh,
You wouldn't let me
man.
live it down either, Willie, so you didn't do too bad.
Okay, Aaron, you have made me feel better for the
Oh,
time
wow.
being. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good
Aaron.
grief.
That's
How
even
did-
worse.
he's-
That's even worse.
He will never live that
Yeah,
down.
that's even worse because you sent somebody else to the wrong
Send his
address.
wife.
2 hours away, not 5 minutes, not 15, not even 30, in a whole different city.
Okay, have you ever messed up the Waze app? 615-737-1025. One texter says, where is this? I made it all the way to Knoxville en route to Atlanta
How?
from Nashville.
How?
I don't, he didn't say how.
No, listen. Okay, I get. I'm not gonna say how because everybody. I've told the story a million times with Darren and I. We're headed to SEC Media Day in
I do
Birmingham.
remember this. Yes.
And Darren and I were just talking. We were just talking and having good, just catching up, talking and whatnot. And we didn't realize until we were headed to Atlanta that we had I was driving, that I didn't take the exit I needed to take because we were driving.
Okay.
Now we could have went that way.
So you weren't on Waze?
No, I wasn't on
Okay.
Waze. I was on I was on, I don't know what I was on, or was Darren just telling you like we knew which way to go?
Yeah. You didn't think you needed Waze?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I still could have gotten to Birmingham the way I was going, but I would have had to come all the way back
Yeah.
around. So we got right at that split. I'm like, oh man, we finally both realized that, we're headed to Atlanta because we're entering into Chattanooga. And that's totally from the opposite where we needed to go. Boy, the show started, no lie. We had like an hour and 45 minutes to get there. And it was a 2-hour and some drive. We had like an hour and 30 minutes to get there. It was like over a 2-hour drive. We made it with 10 minutes to spare.
Woo!
We made it with 10
So
minutes
there
to
might
spare.
have been
Yeah.
some speed checks that.
Yeah. But we realized it. See, that's what happened when
Yeah.
you realize you got to realize it quick enough.
Okay.
I got something to make you feel a little bit better too, Willie. When I was coming here for coming to 125 for an internship, I was an hour late because I
Ooh,
went the wrong way. I went to Woodbury.
What in the heck is in Woodbury?
I had no idea, but it apparently was this address.
Woodbury.
JD
Yeah.
in Nashville texts Willie, "You're not the dumbest man in Nashville, but you better hope he doesn't die." so I guess I'm number 2.
You moved
I'm
up
on
in the
deck.
ranks. You're on deck. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Willie. but-
Reminds me of the scene in The Office where Michael drives into the lake because that's what the GPS tells him to do.
See, you're that guy. There was
I
one
just
guy.
I believed in Waze. I believed I did
You
not.
got to double check ways from now on.
I got to check my thumb.
Yeah.
Hit the wrong button. You know, recent addresses. You know, it comes up recent address. I hit the wrong one. I
Yeah,
didn't hit
man.
Murfreesboro Pike. That's where we are.
You suffer from
So dumb.
erratic thumb.
Yeah.
You suffer from erratic thumb. Speaking of suffering from erratic thumb, did y'all? Because I know you really. We got to talk about the schedule, Willie. But did y'all see? I know y'all saw it because I sent it to you. The commercial.
No, the video. you're
The
talking about.
video commercial. Yeah, it's sort of like a video commercial of the Tennessee Titans. The Titans put it out, right? It's the weirdest thing. It's what is it? Titan Rizzy?
Yeah,
If you don't-
no.
see-
Season Rizzy.
Yeah,
Season Rizzy.
season Rizzy. You don't want to develop season Rizzy. I'm like, wow, okay. And then they labeled all the things that like the side effects. If you don't, they named out like 30 different things, man. It was the funniest thing. I sent it to you guys. I'm like, man,
The one they had for the Browns like rolled me over. It was so funny.
yeah, I'm like,
I had to
they are
find out.
getting really creative in how they're trying to sort of lay out their schedules now. Some people got in trouble because of some things that they did. The Indianapolis Colts, I was about to say Baltimore Colts. The Indianapolis Colts, they got into a little heat for their, what is it, Minecraft?
Yeah, it was Minecraft.
Yeah, it was a Minecraft sort of video they did of the patrol, like the Coast Guard patrol, pulling over and arresting Tyreek Hill. They pulled him over.
He was
one
Tyreek Hill was a whale.
Yeah,
and they had
a dolphin.
A
in
dolphin,
the water,
dolphin,
in the
yeah.
water, and they arrested them. And I guess a lot of people didn't take too kindly of that, so they had to immediately take it down. And then they have another one. Nashville did one where they're on a party bus. Was it Nashville? It was
Nashville.
It was They did a party bus. Tennessee was on a party bus, and then the guy that got hit, was that Will Levis?
It was. It was Will Levis.
So it wasn't the Titans that put it out. It was another team that put it out, a Minecraft, and
It was the Colts.
the coach put it, and it was hitting number 8 and breaking him apart, running him over with a bus. Like, seriously, what is going on? Like the Indianapolis coach, what's going on with y'all? Y'all are starting a lot of trouble around it. So they had to withdraw both of their
Yes, they did.
videos and apologize for them. You knew good and well when you put it out what type of response it was going to elicit. Both funny, but then there were going to be a group that didn't take kindly, and I'm sure the group was mainly Miami fans that did take kindly to it. So they decided to pull it. But man, oh man, it's like they're pushing the boundaries of football,
they are.
as they said, Jacksonville said about Travis Hunter.
Okay. So people have made me feel much better on the text line. So Willie said, don't worry. A texter said, Willie, don't worry. You didn't hit Waze. You hit Craze. So I guess it's another app on my phone I didn't realize I had. And we have a lot of people telling their various stories of being on a conference call. One gentleman was leaving Knoxville trying to get back to Nashville, hopped on a conference call and realized he missed his turn and he was in Chattanooga.
See, it happens.
He was
man.
locked in on the conference call. Now that's easy to do for sure. You lock in on a call and you completely don't remember where you're going. So, okay. I feel better that I'm not the only person that has messed this up, but man, do you feel like an idiot. Just trying to get to work. Oh, well.
Oh man.
I had an Uber driver say he drove a group that was trying to get downtown Nashville. He drove them out to the Hyatt in Franklin,
Ooh.
Tennessee. And people were like, this doesn't look like downtown.
This looks a little different.
Look a little
It's
different.
like the place we're going is just right downtown Broadway. And he was like, he's in Franklin.
Downtown, but not the one you're
Downtown
thinking of.
Franklin.
Yeah. But not the one
It's
you're
beautiful.
thinking
It's
of.
a very nice downtown.
Just wanted to show you. That's all. I just wanted to show you.
Just a little bit.
Free on me. Free
a
on
little
me.
bit out of the
Yeah,
way.
just free on me. Don't worry about it.
All right, we're going to get the show back on the rails. My apologies. My thanks to Connor Newt for filling in for me. Okay, so we've hit some of the schedule. We've got a lot going on the show. Elliot Friedman's going to join us at 1. We'll go around the NHL. We'll talk some of the hockey issues that will affect the Predators. Also, wow, did you see the meltdown by the Maple Leafs last night? Woof. On home ice, got whipped. That place was dead. So, a lot to discuss with Elliot. He's always great. Plaz at 2. And we're going to talk some other NFL things as well as the schedule. We've got a couple little tidbits, including something perfect for the wide receiver translator. So stay tuned. We're getting it cranked here on DVD 102.5 The Game.
Okay.
All right, let's talk Loan Pronto. If you're looking around this summer and you're saying, man, I don't like how my finances look. I got some bills to pay. What do I do? I've been telling you about Loan Pronto. Don't wait any longer. Pick up the phone. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB. They've got nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. So they are ready for you. This is a good outfit. They're efficient in what they do. And what do? They use your home's equity, get that cash to you fast, and they'll put you in a better financial situation. For example, one client used Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan. They got $300,000 in cash approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt with credit cards. They renovated their kitchen, which made their home more valuable, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. If that's something you've been thinking about doing, call Loan Pronto right now for the free instant home appraisal and see how much cash you can get today. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781 on approved credit, and MLSconsumeraccess.org.
Not knowing who and when your team is playing this season, life can lose its luster. For millions of fans suffering from football season withdrawal, or FSW, even relationships can lose their spark. But now, there's Schedule Rizzy, a once-a-season schedule fix that cures FSW.
Football is everything. Schedule Rizzy.
With Schedule Rizzy, you can live your season to the fullest. 18 beautiful weeks, marked, circled, counted down.
I was feeling down. Schedule Rizzy turned it all around.
Consult Tennessee Titans tickets before taking Schedule Rizzy. Side effects include altitude sickness, gridlock, hand, foot, and mouth disease, imposter syndrome, heat stroke, crapping out, melancholy, general malaise, jet lag, jock itch, diarrhea, heartburn, nausea, and slurred speech.
Now my future's bright. With Schedule Rizzy, I see the light. Football is everything.
Thanks, Schedule Rizzy.
It's pretty well done.
Thanks, Schedule.
Oh man,
Pretty well
thank
done.
you, Schedule Rizzy.
Because can we just talk 1 second
Oh,
for
man.
all of the commercials we see on these, whatever, it doesn't matter what channel you're watching. Those songs where they
Yeah.
sing about the medication, they're everywhere. So that's pretty good. That's
Schedule
pretty good.
Rizzy, I love that. Call it Tennessee Titans.
Well, one thing I thought was noteworthy about the schedule,
Yes.
because I agree with you. It's not worth trying to say, is it a tough schedule? Is it not a tough schedule? We've done the exercise where you go through the quarterbacks, you go through the exercise with coaches. But one thing that I think is different is the division games are not bunched at the end of the schedule.
You're right
this
about
year.
that. Yes.
And I do think that's a game changer. They play the Colts twice before the middle of October. They've got them in September. They've got an early game with Houston. So they split up the games. Because how many times have
They
we
only got
looked at the
3 division
schedule?
games in November and December together.
How many times have we looked at the schedule in recent years too, and have you meet them twice in a 3 or 4 week span
Yeah.
in December, and you have a bunch of them. So I do like that. You spread them out a little bit more. I think that's the one thing that might be different than before. And of course, they've got a pretty early bye week, which, by week 12, you're like, man, I wish we had the bye week.
So they got bye week 10. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's week 10. They have a bye week.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I guess
good
that's
because
late.
then after that you can sort of recharge and
Yeah.
you still got 7 more to go.
Did you like that as a
6
player, a late bye week as a person?
Yeah,
opposed
we
to early?
hate it bye week.
I just realized when I saw the bye week, I was reading the schedule
reading it down,
horizontally.
yeah. No, players don't like when buys are within the first 2 or 3 weeks. In the NFL, they shouldn't be able to do that, but I don't know if there's any way around it. But yeah, I would hate to be the team that has a bye week the first quarter of the season. You would rather have that bye week in the middle of the season, or say if it's a 17-game season, you want to have it at least after game 9 or 10, somewhere around there. So, but they have a late bye, which is good for them. Hopefully, at that point, they have shown enough improvement that they may just be going somewhere. But this schedule, all in all, you're right. They don't play as many division games. They've broken it up, especially in the month of November and December, because they have the Chargers starting November, then they have Houston in on the 16th, and then Jacksonville on the 30th, and then they don't play another division game until the last game of the season, which will be TBD, to be determined.
I will also say I am not one that gets all worked up about the primetime games.
Mhm.
I could be different. I like my routine Sunday knowing the Titans are going to be on Sunday. That's me.
I mean,
I don't get offended. I'm like, oh, it's disrespectful. They should have a primetime. I'm not that guy.
No,
I like, hey, Sunday at noon is my default time. That's a routine. I like that.
Yeah, I get that, but you should want some, a little splash in every once in a while, Willie. Come on now. And I get it. They play, I think, what is it, 3 or 4 3:00 games?
Yeah,
they're
I don't mind that.
West Coast games.
That's my day. That's Sunday. I'm watching games.
Yeah, but I like a late game here and there. Yeah, go and watch the rest of the game, other games to start off, and then watch your Titans late at night. I would like that, but unfortunately,
it also falls
the
in line
latest
better
game they
with
have
my
is 6.
Predator
Yes,
flow.
exactly.
If a Monday night game or a Thursday night game messes up my flow,
Let me see. The latest game they
sometimes,
have,
especially Thursday night games, that really messes because the Predators more Thursdays than not will play.
Latest game is 3:25 as of now.
Yeah,
in December against
Right.
San Francisco.
Look, I know you keep bringing up this. They might flex. They're not going to get flexed. I don't think
Willie,
they're going to
they
get
may
flexed.
get flexed. You never know how they.
You're a believer. I get that.
I am. If they're winning,
you make me look like a glass half empty guy. I'm the most glass half full guy there is.
listen. If they're doing well, which I believe they will be, then they're going to get flexed into a primetime game, man. I can see it right now. I'm telling you right now, I can see it. November 2nd
It's going to get flexed
against the LA
If that
Chargers.
happens, we're gonna take a video of you flexing. If they actually flex that game,
Or better yet,
we're gonna make a
December
meme
14th.
of D Mace flexing. If the Titans actually have a game flexed.
But can't you see a December 14th versus the 49ers?
No, I can't see
Or
it.
December
Versus the
21st,
49ers, no.
Kansas City Chiefs. Willie, come on, man. You can't see that.
The Cinderella story.
They're flexing out of those 2 games. I see it. I believe it. If you see it, you believe it, it shall appear. So I see it. I believe it. It shall appear. The Titans will have a primetime game in December 21st against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm saying it right now.
Probably not.
I'm saying it right now. I'm not letting y'all spoil
Can
my
you imagine
joy.
the
Okay?
reaction in Kansas City. Oh man, I'm so tired of getting our games flexed. God, can we just have a game at noon one time?
Oh, we're playing the Titans. Oh, we'll play it noon for sure.
No.
Like,
They're going to
flexing
get
that.
flexed out of that.
They're flexing that game.
Hey,
Like,
record what I
that's
just
going to be
said.
the Arrowhead response.
Record what I just said.
Flexing the game against the Titans.
And we're going to play it November 30th.
I will
when they
play it
flexed out
November
of that.
30th once it's not flexed out.
All right, we got to get to the break. Elliot Friedman is going to join us. We'll switch gears, talk a little hockey. We'll have some fun with him. What a night in Toronto. Not in a good way if you're a Maple Leafs fan, but we'll also talk about other things coming up. The draft, the CBA. Will there be a new one? There's a lot of things to hit on. So stay tuned. We're coming back with hour number 2 of DVD. Hour number 2 of DVD. Willie Donick, Derek Mason here with you. Our gang is split up across the 102.5 The Game Galaxy for another day. The three of us on DVD, D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, will be back together full force tomorrow. So D. Mace and I get a chance today to talk to Elliot Friedman. He's on the line. He's presented by Old National Bank. Get Old. And Elliot, I was laughing because I listened to your podcast and your story about hitting a pothole and messing up your tire and having to call. And the guy was giving you a lot of grief for preferring not to change your own tire. We just had this discussion a couple weeks ago. But if it makes you feel any better, I just did the dumbest thing in a car that anybody's done in a good while. I punched Waze and I hit the wrong address. I was just coming to work. Like, I know how to get to work, but I was making sure the traffic patterns weren't weird. I hit a different address and I ended up going like 25 minutes out of the way, and I was late for the show. So I think mine was worse than yours, because I think you're not the only guy that would rather have a professional change your tire.
I can do it, like I said, but I think it's just smarter in this day and age to have a pro do it. But here's my question to you, Willie. Anyone can punch the wrong thing in on Waze. It happens. But wasn't there some point where you realized that
Waze is wrong?
None of this made sense?
Elliot.
Yeah, I trusted Waze. That was D-Mace.
I told him the same thing, Elliot. Did you get to a point where you like, hold on, this thing ain't
from
right?
Here. You can't trust Waze too much. I trusted Waze too much. That's what happened. So, and I was thinking, Nashville can have bad traffic. Maybe there's a wreck. And so I went with it until it was too late.
Wow. So there's a great story about 20 years ago. I was working one of my first TV jobs, probably, close to 30 years ago, one of my first TV jobs. And we had a couple of young guys. They were, they were new to Toronto. They were from Ottawa, which is like 4.5 to 5 hours northeast of Toronto. And they got confused on a highway going home for a weekend, and they drove 2 hours west before they realized we don't recognize any of this. And we said to them, that's how long it took you to realize? 2 hours? And they're like, we're not from here. And, oh, man, we let them have it. It was just funny.
So, Elliot, another story you told with us a few weeks ago, when we always like to take your pulse of times in Toronto during these playoff runs where they've had a lot of heartache over the years. And your brother-in-law was checking in on you with blood pressure medicine, things like that. I could only think about those types of stories last night.
Oh, yeah.
As they got whipped by a great team. The more we watch Florida, the more it looks like they're really getting it together. It's hard to see them getting beat. That's one perspective. But I know the disappointment in Toronto's got to just be palpitating right now.
It's off the charts. As we joke, the sun came up this morning, but barely. You still have, the thing is that they have to remember, and I'm talking not about the fans, I'm talking about the players, is this series is not over. It's 3-2, and they're in big, 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 big trouble as they go back to Florida tomorrow night for Game 6. But you still have a chance to rewrite your narrative, right? And, I look at, I was talking about this today, it was embarrassing last night. There's no way to sugarcoat it. None. Zero. There's no excuses for it. Everybody understands you can lose. You cannot lose like that. And it was embarrassing. It was shocking. I heard last night and again today, from top to bottom in the organization, they were stunned. You always recognize you can lose. I think everybody knows you go into a game, you can lose. What you do not expect is to lose like that 11 games into the playoffs. There was nothing that had happened in their first 10 games against Ottawa and Florida that gave you an idea that that was coming. And this is a very expensive place to watch games. And there was some debate about, there were jerseys thrown on the ice last night. I'm not a jersey thrower guy. If I was a fan, I wouldn't do that. But, the one thing I understand is that these are people paying a lot of money to go to these games. They're very supportive fans overall. Sure, there's some losers online, but that's everything. I mean, that's everywhere now. That's not the majority. I think the majority are people who really love the Leafs and want them to do well. And I think they can understand if you lose 4-2 in a really hard-fought game, they can deal with that. But 6-1, which was really 6-0 in a game where there was almost zero pushback, that was the worst playoff game of this group's era. And like I said, you have a chance to rewrite it. You've got to go down to Florida and you've got to win and give yourself a chance in Game 7 Sunday night at home. But there was a lot of anger in the market last night and today.
So another thing that's going on is, and I think Nashville fans can relate, goalies, there's so much mental toughness you have just to begin with, just to play the position, be good at it, and get your team to the playoffs. And I think UC Saros has been in this position. Pekka Rinne, for a while in his career, was in this position. They had the rap of, oh, yeah, they're great in the regular season, but what happens in the playoffs? Rinne, of course, changed the narrative in 2017. Saros still has yet to do that. Hellebuyck has got a little bit of that, Connor Hellebuyck. And, of course, it's extreme with what's going on in the road games in particular. How do you think he's handling that?
I think he's trying his best to handle it. Hellebuyck had a quote when he was really struggling in the St. Louis series in the first round. He had a quote that nobody studies goaltending more than me. And people were making fun of him for saying that. And, Willie, I think everybody has cope, right? They have ways that they handle things. I don't get upset at things like that because that is Hellebuyck trying to battle through what he's dealing with, right? To me, this is not a physical thing with Hellebuyck. It is all between the ears. And I thought he would have gotten over it after he overcame a bad start in Game 7 against St. Louis and won that game in overtime. But now he's got this thing still on the road. In Game 4 against Dallas, the first goal wasn't very good at all. And he seems to have a thing right now where he's kind of falling backwards on his butt quite a bit. And it just means his balance is off. And I think it just shows you that even the best, and this year, he's going to win the Vezina as best goalie in the league, and he has a chance to win the Hart as the league MVP. But for whatever reason, the pressure at this time of year, it absolutely affects him. I think this is all mental, and you have to find a way to get through it. There's nothing they can do except convince him to be confident enough in the postseason as he is in the regular season. Nothing.
We're talking with Elliot Friedman, 32 Thoughts podcast. Now, Elliot, of the remaining teams, I know the Oilers have already moved on to the conference finals, but you have the Jets and the Stars, Maple Leafs and Panthers, and the Capitals and Hurricanes, and it seems like Carolina and Dallas are on their way to move on because they're up 3-1 in their series. But of the remaining teams, who is the most complete team out there?
It's a great question. I'll say this, that this Florida team, we've seen the last 3 games, like the beginning of the series, they're the defending champions. And honestly, Derek, I don't like to pick the defending champions very much. But they were hurt a lot this year. And I still think Tkachuk, Matthew is far from 100%, but some of their guys have started to get healthy and they're really starting to come on. And I think they've got the best goalie. Like they've got a guy, Bobrovsky, who's going to the Hall of Fame. So if they close this out, if it's Edmonton, Dallas in the Western Conference Final, that's going to be insane. They played last year. Edmonton won in 6 games. I think both teams are better. And I think that series is going to be insane if those two guys play each other. I think Florida, if they close out Toronto, will be the favorite against whoever it plays in the Eastern Conference Final, whether Carolina holds on or Washington comes back. But all of a sudden, the way Florida's finishing this series, I know people are starting to say, uh-oh, like they might actually just do this.
Now, looking at the CBA, there's a new. Do you feel that there will be one announced at the Cup Finals?
I'm beginning to think it more and more, Derek. So they have a bunch of Board of Governors meetings in the NHL. They have one at the end of September, beginning of October, right at the start of the season. They have one in the second week of December, and they always have one just after the Stanley Cup Final. And at the one this year that was in the fall, which was end of September, beginning of October, the Commissioner Gary Bettman told us he hoped to have an announcement about a new CBA at his annual Stanley Cup State of the Union address, which is hours before Game 1. Now, it was unusual for him, Derek, to be that optimistic. For one thing, these negotiations haven't gone smoothly in almost 30 years. For another, it's a negotiation, right? And it's rare for Bettman to talk like that. Well, they've begun negotiating, and he had a media appearance last week in a game between Florida and Toronto. I think it was Game 3. And he just sounded really optimistic. And I followed up with a few people since then, and they're telling me it's not impossible, that they could have it done by the Stanley Cup Final. So, which is then the first game of the Cup Final is usually around the end of May. So we'll see, Derek, but it's not impossible.
Now, I do have a sort of a sidebar question, but I want to tag on to what you were saying, and because I know how these collective bargainings can go, and they're very contentious. I've been a part of one of them. If they don't get it done before the Cup Finals, if it's not announced before the Cup Final, what happens then?
Well, the thing is, there's still time. Like it's not. Like we're still a while away before it expires, right?
And that's what's so crazy, because we're so used to this going. They don't even start talking until the day before the thing expires half the time.
Yeah. So, like, if you look at it, if you look at the most recent ones, like they did the latest one during COVID, and at that time, like there was just no choice. You had to get a deal done. Like we didn't know where the world was going, right? In that summer of 2020. So you had to get the deal done. Like this was no time for people to be fighting. But previous times, like 2012, that season's supposed to start in October, didn't start until January. 2004-5, everybody knows that season was completely lost. Lockout, no hockey. 1992-93, that one was, 94-95, supposed to start in October, didn't start until the winter of 95. And 92-93, the players with their strike right before the playoffs, because it was the playoffs, a deal got done. But these never happen without pressure or missed games. This year, we still have another year left in the CBA. So, Derek, the fact that we're even here, it just says to me that they're making a deal. Derek, there's so much money out there right now. We just signed a massive new Canadian TV deal. They're in the middle of their US TV deals. They're talking about expansion again. Their revenues are higher than ever. They've made a deal for the salary cap. It's going to be higher than ever. It's going over $100 million in 2 years and $110 million in 3. Like there's no reason for anybody to be fighting here. Zero, none. And I think the players say, are they happy with everything, Derek? No. Do they see a reason to have a fight? No. People are look at the salaries. We've gone from the top player, they've gone from 12.5 to 13.25 to 14 million a year. somebody's going to beat that. Like, people are looking at it and saying, again, like, there's always grievances, Derek. You know, as a player, there's always things. Can we get expansion money? No, that'll never happen. But you ask, right? There's nothing worth stopping hockey over. The owners know it and the players know it.
Now, quickly, the NFL came out with their new schedules yesterday. And you know, the NFL, they make a big to-do about it all, and we buy all into it and we eat it up because we love it. But each team has their little separate little memes that they put out, videos that they put out, and I do find them hilarious at times, and some do kind of go overboard. Indianapolis Colts.
Some things have to be taken down off the internet.
Absolutely. So why is it? Because I did ask Willie this question before asking you. Is that something that hockey has looked at and want to participate in, like getting the fan base sort of riled up as the season going? Doing videos, doing these memes, or these Minecraft videos.
Grab everybody's attention in the summer when you wouldn't otherwise have a story. Create something.
I have to say, I was disappointed that I didn't see the two of you on Broadway saying the Titans were playing Lightning McQueen this year.
That was pretty good.
That was good. That was the one that kind of started it all. I think that sometimes in hockey, Derek, I agree, we have to be dragged kicking and screaming into things. I think that hockey has come a long way with letting their teams use social media to kind of jab at other teams. It took a long time, but it's out there now. Like Carolina is known for taking like shots at the teams they're playing. LA, I remember a few years ago when the Kings beat the Vancouver Canucks, they tweeted out, "You're welcome, rest of Canada." And I remember just what a gong show it was when they did that. Like now some people would be annoyed at it, but it's now, I think most people would just laugh. Like, it's taken a long time, Derek, but we're getting there. They're starting to take more, the individual teams are starting to take more chances like that. Like, one of the things I'm really curious to see, Derek, about how the reaction is going to be is this year they're not doing an award show as they've done it before. They're doing a bunch, they're doing them kind of viral. Now, a few of them I think are going to be kept for a pre-packaged presentation, but basically they're going to be showing up with people and surprising them. And like, for example, let's just say, Cale Makar is going to win the Norris. They're going to have someone surprise him with the trophy and then make it go viral. Like, that's what they're talking about here. And I'm curious to see how this works, because it's a new attempt for them and it's something they wouldn't have done 10 years ago. So I'm really open to the idea of watching it work.
Elliot Friedman's with us, presented by Old National Bank. Elliot, one more before we let you go. A lot of people here, right? You look at contracts that you're worried aren't going to age well, and you say, man, look at all this money they're paying so-and-so, like Steven Stamkos, $8 million a year. UC Saros is about to have his new contract kick in, 7.74. Brady Shea, there's a long way to go, $7 million. But I look with the cap going up. We've already seen the goalie market change to where Saros' contract is going to look way more economic in the next 5 years or so than it might right now in the moment. But I look at Mitch Marner and I look at Evan Bouchard, and let's just take Bouchard. I think Brady Shea in a couple of years, people are going to say, Brady Shea for $7 million. That's about right. I mean, aren't we about to see a pretty big shift on what we consider to be a fat contract?
I think that there have been some contracts, like, I'll give you an example. Seth Jones, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Seth Jones signed for $8.5 million in Chicago. It didn't work. He got traded to Florida, and Chicago wanted to move on from that contract, but now they ate a little bit of salary, so Florida's paying him as a $7 million player. Where the cap is going, if Seth Jones plays like he did last night, there's going to be no problem with that. I think basically, there was a big contract signed this year, Jacob Chikrin. He signed for $9 million a year with Washington. And some people were like, oh my God, like 9 million, really? And then you see where the cap is going, and you're like, 9 in a couple years is going to be like 7 is now. And, you know, like, I think the thing with Nashville this year too, it's a hard year. Those guys aren't that bad. I just think they're all going to be better because they were embarrassed. And I'm willing to concede that some people, their lives might have been thrown off a bit. I think they're all going to be better. But I don't think you're going to look at some, like the contract that got signed last summer, where the cap is going, you're not going to be as concerned about it.
Elliot, great stuff. I know you're busy. It's been crazy. Looking forward to another fun night. This has been unbelievable theater every night to watch, and we'll see if Toronto is still standing in a few days here, if they can stay alive. Well,
if it isn't, you know, Willie, I'll come down there and I'll be your chauffeur so you can get to the show on time.
That would really help me. Okay. We'll have a lot of fans tuning into that for sure. Elliot, thanks again.
Take care.
That's Elliot Friedman.
Yes.
Hockey night in Canada. Part of the panel there for their coverage, 32 Thoughts, the podcast, which is must listen to, and he's presented by Old National Bank. Get old. When we come back, we'll have more from DVD. We've got some other topics we want to get to here today. I've got one for the wide receiver translator that we are going to have D. Mace kind of slough out. We're going to get his interpretation because he was once a wide receiver who could get a little perturbed if he didn't get the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And the MMQB podcast had a fun discussion about just how often there is wide receiver drama in the NFL. The percentage of teams usually get some. We'll go over what happened with the Titans, but one of the recent ones is the Pittsburgh Steelers' decision to trade George Pickens, a very talented wide receiver, but kind of sounds like there was some drama there, and they're like, we don't want the drama. So we're going to get the wide receiver translator out. Stay tuned. You're listening to the DVD here on 102.5 The Game.
From the outside, it looked like George Pickens was a problem for the Steelers. But did you ever get the sense that he was an issue inside the locker room? Is it perception? Is this a case of perception versus fan reality?
It's reality.
Fan perception versus reality. Okay.
It's reality. I mean, the reality is, I don't think he's a bad-hearted guy, but his frustration with his role in the offense bubbled over at times. His frustration on the direction of the offense bubbled over at times. His professionalism was in question, and like showing up to meetings, being at meetings on time when that frustration was in play. There were just it just felt like there was always a million things going on with him. And that part of it, I think, really gets to a boiling point when you're starting to talk about whether or not you want to retain him long term. And so I think the question for the Steelers became, okay, so we've had all these problems now. His role in the offense, the direction of the offense, his frustration, and he is a tough competitor, but and he wants to be great, but that's showing up in so many different ways. And I think their question was, okay, like if we now put that in a contract year, okay, with DK Metcalf coming in, who, by the way, isn't just also a receiver, but plays the same receiver spot as he does, the X spot. So how are you going to manage those two? If you take all of this into account, like what is this going to look like in October or November? Like if George Pickens goes through a 3-week stretch where he has 5 catches, what is that going to look like? And what's that going to mean for whoever our quarterback is? And by the way, like DK, like I think DK is a good guy, but DK like had like an issue with his quarterback in Seattle too, So like he has like a temper and he's gonna have his own thoughts too. I think in retrospect, and I didn't say this at the time, but I think in retrospect now, maybe Metcalf and Pickens was never meant to be.
So that's the MMQB podcast.
Yes.
Connor Orr and Albert Breer about the saga going on with the Steelers. Of course, everybody's focused on who's going to play quarterback for the Steelers, but quietly, somewhat quietly, they traded George Pickens, a very talented wide receiver, to the Cowboys for what I would say would be kind of like, it's not like they got 2 first-round picks or something like that. I think they got, a 3rd and a 5th, something like that.
It was almost like, please take him.
Yeah, because his contract, they're about a year away from having to pay him more because he's obviously really talented. He can have some big games, but it's like they were trying to get ahead of it and say, let's just not deal with the drama. So we thought this would be perfect for the wide receiver translator, because as they sort of tried to slough out there at the beginning, how much of this is just normal drama that you deal with wide receivers and how much of it's just there's really issues beneath the surface? So we put through to D-Mace.
Wide receiver translator.
So how did you always try to decipher in a room, hey, look, this guy's a problem, versus this guy, look, everybody wants the ball. He's going to be a little dramatic, but he'll be there when we need him to be there.
It's a fine line, because I think you got to know when and where and how to voice your displeasure. I don't think I've ever went to the media. Now questions were asked of me, but I always deflected them, like, the coaching staff or we as a player, or I need to do this. I never, put it out there. Oh, they need to give me the damn, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it was always implied, hey, I make plays. I'm a playmaker. But I understand that how this thing goes. But then behind the scenes, it's like, yeah, I want the ball. Like, throw me the football. I can make plays. I want to affect the game in a positive way. Give me an opportunity, especially when things doesn't seem to be going well. It's like, find a way. Let's do this. And I've been on the other side of it where it's been like, man, just keep running the football. We don't need to throw it. Just keep running it. That's how we do it. But I never tried to make it outside of the franchise. I never try to make it a distraction.
You weren't showing up late
Exactly.
to meetings to make a
Because-
point
exactly.
or anything like that.
I
It
wasn't
sounds like
running-
Pickens, there were some issues there with being
I wasn't
on
running
time.
to the media or now we all get frustrated on the sideline. Every receiver, whether it was Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Steve Smith, Michael Irvin, it doesn't matter. Jefferson now, Chase, we all get frustrated and may throw a helmet or may just get frustrated because you're not a part of the solution. Like you're not a part, like you want to be a part of the solution, but you haven't been for whatever reason. That happens. But to make it a long-term thing, to make it each and every week, it's something with this guy. I don't think I ever encountered a situation like that, but I've seen a bunch of them,
Yeah.
where it's like every week, no matter if he gets the ball or if he doesn't get the ball, they're still complaining. They're still me, and it's taken away from the team. Again, I complained about getting the ball, but I complained to the coaches. I didn't have everybody stop everything or disrupt everything because I wasn't getting the football.
And obviously, the coaches took it in stride and said, "Okay, this is typical hungry wide receiver behavior." People call, there's the joke, the term diva always gets thrown out there, but there's levels of it. And I was really curious about this one because the Steelers traded George Pickens 3 years into his career. Who else got traded 3 years into their career? A.J. Brown.
Yes.
That was 3 years, and he was squawking. He made some noise. This was not during the season, but it was in the off season. He was doing these things. They had to decipher those things. I always thought, because the media starts this time. This is the time of year. You remember when this was going on?
Yeah.
The podcast with the mom. That was Deebo Samuel's mom, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
They wanted to change the market. Everybody was bracing themselves for what it was going to take to re-sign him. And the Titans ultimately made a decision that has been something that has come back to haunt them,
But
and
that
still haunts them.
But that wasn't because
They didn't just say, look, here's a wide receiver being a wide receiver. Let's get through it. We'll work this out. And let's keep A.J. Brown on the team. Ultimately, they just said, forget about it. Let's trade him.
Yeah. But I don't think that was because of who he was as a locker room guy, or they felt he was just going to disrupt the whole team. That was basically money. He wanted his money.
But
he
money
wanted
comes
more.
into this with Pickens too, because he hasn't been as productive as A.J. Brown, but it's not way off.
But I think with Pickens,
if you look at his year by year, I don't think he's as good as A.J. Brown, but he's a pretty
He
big
has-
talent.
listen,
he's gonna sign a pretty big deal when his contract is up, right?
But that's the problem. AJ wasn't a headache like in the locker room. AJ wasn't showing up, people on the sideline,
Right.
coaches on the sideline. AJ just wanted to be compensated more than everybody else because he felt he should be. Now, again, I've always said you can tell everybody what you're worth, but the market will tell you what you're worth, and you will get what the market says it is. Maybe a team gives you what you want, maybe they don't. That was AJ's deal. He did his money. He wasn't a problem like game day and all this other stuff. Pickens has been a problem, period.
And so that's the
so I don't
theory
even want to
is-
give him money.
Right. So that's what the Cowboys have brought on is because the theory is it's what Pickens is already showing signs of this, what you're talking about, crossing the line kind of diva. And now, in theory, if the Cowboys traded for him, they probably are looking to re-sign him. So what version of George Pickens are you going to get at that point? A guy who's making more money and
He's
maybe
gonna get
is
a worse
more
George-
emboldened.
You're going to get a worse George Pickens. That's what you're going to get. And listen, Pittsburgh is no stranger of any of this. None of this. Pittsburgh's no stranger. And Mike Tomlin, what I have understood about Mike Tomlin now, Mike Tomlin has become the parent to the last children. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The parent to after the parent, like my mom and dad, after they didn't had about 5 or 6, 7, those last two is just like, okay.
They're
All
mellowed
right.
out. They're beat down.
Exactly. And
They-
it's like,
they
you
don't-
would never let me do that.
Yeah, they don't rule with the iron fist as much as for the oldest. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's where Mike Tomlin has gotten. It started with A.J. Brown. Just think about this. A.J. Brown Deontay Johnson.
Oh, you're talking about Antonio Brown.
Yeah, Antonio Brown, not
Switch
AJ Brown.
Browns.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
AJ. Excuse me. I am sorry. I'm not talking about AJ, people. Where we were, but not in this situation. You're talking about
Antonio Brown. My
Brown.
goodness, you want to talk about some
You're
drama.
talking about Claiborne. You're talking about Deontay Johnson. You're talking Pickens. You're talking. They had another wide receiver that they had to get rid of. That they drafted high some years ago.
Wallace.
No, not Wallace. They did Wallace. They just didn't re-sign him back. And Wallace was just more speed than anything. There was another receiver they had that they drafted that they just had to get rid of him because it was just causing a fuss. So Pittsburgh isn't immune to this. They understand this. For them to get rid of a talent like Pickens, there must have been red flags everywhere, like just everywhere. Red flags. It didn't matter where you looked, there had to be a red flag because his talent is immense. He's 6'1", 6'2". He can run, he can jump, he can catch. He plays physical when he needs to. He makes the tough. He does. He's your prototypical A1 receiver. He is. That's the talent. But that other stuff, all those no. And Pittsburgh dealt with it as long as they could. But those are some of the things that comes with elite wide receivers or wide receivers that have made plays in this league and they consistently do. It's going to come with a little bit of diva-ness. But the ones that are able to prolong their career, the diva-ness doesn't interrupt the team.
So do you think that the Steelers did the right thing by moving on from him?
No, what
At
Juju?
this point-
Yeah, it was Juju too. He was the same way. Juju they end up
A
getting rid
couple
of
people
Juju.
on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, say Chase Claypool. They brought up Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yes.
Martavius Bryant.
Martavius Bryant. Yes, Martavius Bryant. Another guy, immense talent, like talent out of this ward. He was a West Virginia guy, or Martavius Bryant, was he a West Virginia guy, or
Wow. The Steelers, though, have drafted some talented wide receivers. The Titans would probably love to have that list of talented wide receivers.
But you can't, because of, I'm going to call it the knuckleheadness.
Clemson.
Yeah. The knuckleheadness. You can't get past, there's only so much you can take. But every team, just look down the list, Willie. Let's just look down the list. Buffalo, they had a sort of a malcontent a bit. They got rid of Stephon Diggs, but they knew, like him coming in. Why do you think he left Minnesota? Because of him. Like, hey, listen, I want to go somewhere else. One, get more money, but two, be featured more. Because Adam Thielen started to come on, and they were splitting the times, and they got a young receiver, so he had to go. But they had just drafted Jefferson that year. They released him. So every team, and we could talk more about the other teams, but every team has that one guy that you just got to manage.
Most
at the
teams
wide receiver
deal with
position.
wide receiver drama, and you have to decipher through the wide receiver translator and other methods who's the right guy to reinvest in, how much can we handle, everything's cool, because when it counts, he'll be there, versus we got to move on from this guy. And now Dallas is the one moving forward. So we're going to get some feedback from the text line on this, and we can go back through other history where there's been some wide receiver drama for the Titans. But I thought immediately of A.J. Brown when I was listening to that podcast. You're listening to DVD, 615-737-1025. If you want to call or text on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We're broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. All right, let's talk F&M Bank. Tomorrow, we will reunite. Myself, D. Mace, and Adam Vingan will be back with us, and that means at 1:45, right about this time tomorrow, we will take it to the bank, brought to you by F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. It's a great way to think about your finances, simplify things, make it easier, less stressful. Your business means a lot to F&M Bank. They've got 20 locations in our listening area. Most of the time, right smack dab in the middle of your community. That's where they want to be. And they've got tools to help you. If you're a business owner, If you're a youngster just trying to learn about the financial game, or somebody that's a little bit older and trying to get to that next nuance, paying for your kids' tuition, trying to set up retirement funds, all of these things, getting a HELOC, all of these things are there for you with F&M Bank. So go to myfmbank.com and find the nearest location to you. They'll do a great job for you. And listen to us tomorrow at this time when we take it to the bank. It's F&M Bank, member FDIC. Is it ladies' night, D-Mace?
I guess ladies' night.
I may be a little bit behind the times.
I thought it was
Thursday.
Friday.
Is Thursday ladies' night?
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought it was
at some
Friday or
point,
Saturday. It's usually been like Friday and Saturday, hadn't it?
I do know
Haven't it?
this is a great song.
Oh, what an what a
I remember a really old beer commercial, which I mean, it was so stupid. It was just Hal Gill has a great term called best dumbest, but there's a bunch of just overweight guys with mustaches and beards who beards who walk up to a bar dressed as women for try to get in for ladies' night, to try to get the particular brand of beer that was being promoted.
Oh, well, hey, anyway.
Oldest trick in the book, I guess. But we're here
They
on
tried to pull
DVD. We're brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We've got some action on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up at 2 o'clock, George Plaster is going to join us, and we'll set the table for the Vanderbilt Kentucky baseball series, but we're going to talk broadly about Vanderbilt's athletic program and how they have really turned it around after the narrative about a year ago was like, hey, going into this NIL world and you got Texas and Oklahoma coming in, are they going to be able to win anything in any sport? Well, they've had a really good calendar school year going back to football. So we're going to talk to George about that. And can they sustain it? What's it going to take? What's going on behind the scenes? George is going to join us for that. Let's get to the text line here and talk about the wide receiver drama that happens a lot. You can go team by team and probably off the top of your head, think about a situation where there was a lot of drama with wide receivers. It's common, so teams have to deal with this, but they have to decide, do they do what the Steelers just did with George Pickens and trade him, what the Titans did with A.J. Brown, or deal with it, especially if you decide to sign a wide receiver to a second contract. So some people I think who know the Steelers pretty well were talking about this, and also there's plenty of Cowboys fans out there. And one of them said, one texter says, he didn't leave his name, what does that say about the Dallas risk appetite? Are they crazy for taking them, knowing all they had to give up was a couple of lower round draft picks? Like on the front end, I can see Dallas saying, oh, I can get a talented guy who averaged over 18 yards a catch 2 years ago. I mean, I've got CeeDee Lamb over here. Boy, this sounds like a really good thing. And all I got to give up is a third and a fifth. Boom, sign me up. But Dallas is certainly not afraid to take on a big personality.
Yeah, Dallas is not.
Doesn't always work.
Dallas is not risk averse. They do things that maybe other teams wouldn't do, or they wouldn't do things that certain teams would do. Just like last offseason, they didn't, jump in the pool for Derrick Henry when they obviously needed Derrick Henry. And they chose to go another route. And now they're, lacking at that position. But then they go out and trade for a guy that's been a malcontent. See, that's what I don't understand, that part right there. You got a guy in Derrick Henry who's been nothing but a consummate pro. He would be a leader in your locker room. He will upgrade your franchise the minute he walk in. Why? Because he's just a pro. Everything he does, it seems to be working. He does things the right way. And guys look to him. So you bypass that guy to go get the guy that's going to potentially, sour your whole locker room or your receiving core. I don't understand that. I really don't, but that's the Dallas Cowboys. So, Dallas gets Pickens, who has immense talent, but I don't, there's one thing that I do understand is this. Money doesn't make you into the person you are. It reveals who you are, and it gives you the ability to be more of that person that you want to be. So if you are a prior, you're going to be that even more when you get money. And that's Pickens, it seems like. He's been a malcontent and all this other stuff prior to getting the money. He's going to be that way if indeed Dallas does give him the money. Now, if he performs well, they're going to give him the money.
I'm going to give you one more text from our text line. The question is, D-Mace, how would you define the drama of DeAndre Hopkins last year? Which I will say, if you listen to our show, you sort of set the tone when they did the signings they did and they brought in Calvin Ridley. You kind of foresaw what ended up happening with D-Hop.
Yeah, and it's amazing that when I tell people this, they look at me, they're like, no, it's like, dude, like people, I understand it, especially this situation. I understand it from a first-hand basis. I get it. That's not going to work. I knew it wasn't going to work. I did say D Hop wouldn't be a distraction, but you're gonna see, and I said you will see
For
in
the
his
most part, he
face.
wasn't.
Yes,
but there were a couple
at
of
the
times
end
where
of
it
that
creeped
Buffalo
out.
game,
Yeah,
was it the Buffalo game?
I think so. When
Yeah,
he
the
stood on
Buffalo,
the sideline
exactly.
and wouldn't go
See what
back
I'm
in.
saying?
Yeah,
That's when.
and then he said, "I've lost my
yeah,
love for the
I lost
game,"
the
or
joy.
something.
That's
joy.
when he became a mild distraction. Not like he was a huge distraction, but it became another story added on to the stories that we're already talking about with Will Levis. It became another story that they did not need. And I kept telling people, the minute they got Calvin Ridley, this is not going to work. And everybody kept saying, yes, it will. You don't know anything. Damn it, I played the position. I was the number one receiver. I understand that when I switched teams, when they brought in another guy, was like, man, how do I handle this? I had to sort of figure it out while I was going through it. Why? Because didn't nobody tell me that would happen. I'd have somebody to look up, say, how did you handle this when it happened? No, I didn't have all of that. So I told everyone this was what was going to happen. And everybody, no, it's not gonna. No, sign him to another contract. Please sign him to another contract.
Yeah.
And what happened? Exactly verbatim what I said was gonna happen. That doesn't make D Hop a bad person. It's just when you've been a number one for so long, it's hard to take a back seat to a younger guy that has proven himself to be a number one. Why? Because in your mind, you believe I still can do it. So people, especially those on other shows, when I'm talking about that one position and receiver, best believe I know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay. So if I say don't sign a guy to an another year contract, don't do it. Okay.
Ladies
and Willie
and
said the same thing.
The wide receiver translator has
Yes.
spoken. So we have gotten the translation loud and clear. All right. When we come back, Plaz is going to join us, and we'll talk to him. We'll talk mostly Commodores. Got some other things. The Braves have been in action today. You can always talk Braves with Plaz, right? Braves have won. They're creeping up towards 500. We'll see what he thinks about that. But we've got a lot going on. This will be fun in the next segment. Stay tuned. You're listening to DVD. And speaking of Vanderbilt, they are in action tonight. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, and they're playing at home against the Kentucky Wildcats. And be listening for Vanderbilt baseball as pregame begins at 5:45, and first pitch from the Hawk tonight is at 6 o'clock, and it's on 102.5 The Game. Coverage is also available on the Game Nashville app at thegamenashville.com. DVD in the final hour, and this is a special hour of DVD
Special.
because we're still on our shuffled time slots this week. We're back to the normal lineup tomorrow from 11 to 2. Adam Vingan will join us. He's got the afternoon slot today, so he's going to transition. We'll pass the baton to him. He'll be back on our team tomorrow from 11 to 2, so we're looking forward to that. And we are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive. Membership with the Buzz is always about great service. Now, George Plaster is on the air with us right now. He's going to join us weekly here on the show. And most of the time, it's going to be during the noon hour. We changed a little bit this week because of these time slots we're in. But, George, you'll be really amused to know that I made a big-time screw-up this morning and went the wrong way trying to get out here to the station. I used Waze, and I hit the wrong button. And Waze sent me to an address that I had mistakenly hit that I went somewhere last week. So it was the dumbest thing I've done. But I did tell D-Mace the history. Because D-Mace's thing was, you can't over-trust Waze. You should know the roads.
Absolutely.
And I immediately thought of you, Plaz, because what did you tell me when I was a young buck out of college? And we had a show in like Mount Juliet. And I think I asked you, where's Mount Juliet?
Yeah, I mean, the truth of it is, Derek, so he was about a year out of school, and he truly did not know 1 mile away from Vandy, Kansas. It might as well have been Guatemala.
It was a problem.
Oh, Willie,
It was a problem.
You can't fully trust Waze, man, because it had that. Like I told him,
I would have killed for Waze back then because that would have maybe kept George off my
We
back.
had MapQuest. Well, you had to print it out.
But I would be like, "Hey, George, how do you get to the remote? He would like figure it out. Learn your city."
Tough. I like it, George.
Tough love.
Tough love. Figure it out. All I'm gonna tell you is a red door.
I'm not a whole lot better than him. So I was coming out of, it was Evansville, Indiana, several years ago when I was at Belmont, and we were playing in the title game against Murray State for the right to go to the NCAA tournament. We lose. I get out of there. And I don't know how it happened, but I ended up in Owensboro.
Oh, wow.
Well, I did feel better because some of the listeners had stories like that to make me feel better. That
One guy sent his wife 2 hours away.
Gave his wife the wrong address,
Exactly.
and it was 2 hours away from where she was supposed to be. She was not happy at all.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have done that on purpose.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, he did that on
Oh, boy.
purpose.
He did not admit to that on the air anyway.
Oh, man.
So,
Well,
George, the Vanderbilt's got a big series tonight in baseball starting. It's the regular season final series around the SEC, and they've got Kentucky. Kentucky's been playing some very good baseball right now, so this is going to be some good stuff here. But Vanderbilt's put themselves in very good position. I know on your show, and we're going to get you to tell people where you can hear your show because this is still relatively new. You can hear them on our family of stations here at Cromwell. Plus, George has his internet world streaming show that he's had for a while now, the George Plaster Show. But how pleasantly surprised are you that Vanderbilt has had this good of a season in baseball? Because you heard, like I did, some people who have such a high expectation level, they started to become a little critical of what was happening to Tim Corbin.
Yeah, and that was disappointing to me because this is a man who's won 2 national titles at Vandy, 2014 and 2019. And when I look around, there haven't been a lot of national titles won, since I was a little kid.
Outside
They're
of bowling.
Yeah. And by the way, did I tell you I have a charity bowling event?
Yes.
There you go.
D. Mace and I have participated in that. Yes.
Absolutely. So seriously, though, to me, he's earned the right to get out of whatever troubles he was in without the fan base starting all this crap about how, the game has passed him by. Game has passed him by my butt. Now, Do I think he really struggled with the whole NIL concept? Yeah, he's told me he did. And they may have been a little late to the party, and that may have caused some of it. I think the real thing, though, was that it was Tennessee that passed them by. If it had been Wichita State, you'd have never heard a thing. But because it was the University of Tennessee, it was almost like a double whammy. Well, I think there were a lot of Vandy fans who believed that the day of Vandy being either equal or better than Tennessee in baseball had come and gone. Well, we might need to rethink that a little bit, because right now, Vandy's in a better spot than Tennessee's in. Tennessee's going to get in the NCAA tournament. The only question is, can they get enough done at Arkansas to sneak back into hosting a regional? If Vandy wins 2 out of 3 against Kentucky, they're a codlock cinch, not only to host an opening round regional, but to also be a national 8 seed, meaning you would end up hosting a super regional. I just think the whole criticism of Tim Corbin is absurd. And I just think this man has earned the right to fix whatever problems may have been there without the fan base starting all that, the game has passed him by. Really, baseball isn't all that hard a game.
I think it's quieted down quite a bit, especially after what happened in Knoxville. So let's broaden it, because as you hit on the NIL transition, we know Vanderbilt historically, and this is where you go back way further than I do. But I think it's fair to say that Vanderbilt has always been criticized for being a little bit behind when there are trends in the SEC and everybody is bumping up facilities or adding seats to their stadium, finding ways to increase their fan base. It's always been tougher for Vanderbilt as the private school in a league of huge state schools, but they were clearly behind in the NIL transition as well. And a year ago, George, I'm sure you got it just as much as we did on our show here about, hey, Texas and Oklahoma are about to come into the league. How is Vanderbilt going to have any success in any sport? But if you look back at this last school year, they've done tremendously well. I guess the question I would have for you is, do you think what will they need to do to make this sustainable?
Well, okay, you want to take the big 3 sports and just kind of do a little capsule comment on each?
Yeah, because and you tell me if you think all 3 are very different models, or is it the same formula? Because that's what they've got to figure out. It's just providing the resources to do what you have to do in this day and age.
So let's start with the basketball, because the single best thing they've done is get rid of Jerry Stackhouse, who was just this cloud hanging over this program that, for a long time they couldn't get rid of. And finally they did. And now people realize what I was yelling and screaming about, which was Vanderbilt basketball didn't have to settle for the kind of crap that was going on in his program. The first thing that went on is they hired a basketball coach who is as singularly focused as it gets. This guy, Mark Byington, nobody's going to outwork him. And some of that showed up in year 1, where he basically had to remake an entire team and somehow got him to the NCAA tournament, which is a great start for him. I've always thought the ceiling is pretty much Sweet 16. In my lifetime, the ceiling has been Sweet 16. And the only time they've ever gotten there where they should have been able to advance is when Kevin Stallings' team got screwed over against Georgetown. I don't remember exactly what year it was anymore, but
2007, I think.
Yeah, that's the closest they've ever come to Elite 8. Kevin.
By the way, Jeff Green walked. That was a travel. He traveled. That's where they got screwed. He traveled.
He did. So Okay, so basketball is on a much better plane just simply for getting rid of Jerry Stackhouse and that boulder on his shoulder. And good for him that, he seems to be doing okay at Golden State. So that's the first one. That's clearly way better than a year ago.
Right. And we've covered and we've covered Tim Corbin, so we know he's got a longer track record of success. So I want to hear your thoughts on the football.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think football is going to achieve year in and year out what they did a year ago. They're not going to, if all else is equal, they're not going to line up and beat Alabama a lot. They're not going to line up and beat Auburn a lot. Now, that said, I think the Vanderbilt football fan is the most realistic fan for sure in the SEC. You don't ever hear any, well, we've got to go win a national title. I mean, I think most of the fans, when it comes to football, are very realistic and just hopeful that it can be halfway decent. I don't think that and maybe that's wrong, but you see the things they're fighting against, and you have to ask yourself, can they pull that off year in and year out? And my answer is probably not. And some people may take issue with that. And, I hope I'm wrong. But for now, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to do that every year, because there's nothing in the past that indicates that would be true.
We talk with George Plaster, discussing all sports Nashville and sports around the world. Plaz knows it all. But sticking with Vanderbilt, when you look at their three major sports, whether it be men's basketball, football, or women's basketball. Now, we've talked about the baseball team and what's going on there. I think Corps, deserves every accolade that ever comes this way, or praise that ever comes this way, because of what he's been able to do with that program. But which one of these programs you think is best set up moving forward? I look at Shea Ralph and what she's been able to do with that team. They got a marquee player in Michaela Blakes. I believe that's her last year, Blakes. They got a marquee player that they can sort of build around. Do you think these other programs have marquee players to build around like Shea Ralph does with her basketball team?
Well, baseball has in the last 10 to 15 years had those kind of players. Mm-hmm. This team doesn't, which makes his coaching stuff even better. Mm-hmm. I would say in the last 3 weeks, the level of improvement of that team is stunning. I also think he's figured out, you know what, we may not out-homer everybody, but we will small ball the crap out of you. And I've never heard the stat in my lifetime of a baseball team attempting 10 steals in a game. And yet that's what they did Saturday in Knoxville. Baseball has come close to that, and at times has had that A1 superstar, top 10 player in the country, Pedro Alvarez, David Price, Sonny Gray. Basketball, that's been a much different story. Willie, you got to help me with this. In the last 25 years, if you were going to throw out in Vandy basketball Matt Freegie's name, whether he was all that highly recruited or not, certainly came to be that. Shane Foster came to be that kind of a player. Top 10 in the country? Probably not. Am I being fair?
Yeah, I think you're being fair. They've had some really good players. Derek Byers had the one great year. They had some guys who went on to play in the NBA like John Jenkins and Festus Ezeli, but it's
Darius
hard to get
Garland, who didn't really play but a few games.
That's what's interesting, that it's so different with the NIL and the turnover. And I had a former player tell me this. He said it's so much about the fit and the brand, it's not as much as, oh man, Vanderbilt, I don't know, can I get the grades at Vanderbilt? It's like if they're offering you a package, because remember, Mark Byington had to go out and basically sell, here's what I have money-wise. You can come play. I got a new team. This could be exciting. And now I think people have a better idea of what they're getting when they come to Vanderbilt. But George, it's not as much about, hey, Vanderbilt's a really good academic school and you're getting the best of academic. I think it's a little bit more business-like, right? Don't you think? Than it used to be.
Well, yeah. The last time an athlete thought about academics,
it was Willie
at any school.
It was
right?
Willie.
I don't think it was me, but
let me think about that for a minute.
But less people are looking for that now.
Yes,
I think it's much more. Am I going to play? And are you?
Hold on, I'm trying to get to the right president. Eisenhower, Bueller.
Keep going back.
I feel like that actually helps Vanderbilt be in the game much more than before, where I think there was almost a stigma of, oh man, Vanderbilt, they haven't won much and it's hard to get in and classes are going to be tough. I think that there's probably a cross section of people who now would not even worry about that because it's in the SEC. They're offering me a lot of money and they say I can come play here. This could be in any sport. And for some people, oh yeah, I love the fact that it's a great academic school, but you don't have to have that to sell it like maybe you used to.
Although I wonder how that works in December when you get your grades.
Yeah.
Derek, my first year, we were on a 3-point system.
Oh man.
And I had an
dinosaur kind of era. We talk about a 3-point. Who's on a 3-point system?
0.9. And let me just say,
okay, so you're right in my ballpark.
So if that were a 4-point system, do we round up? Like, what is that? Like a 1.6 or something in a 4?
Well, I don't know, but when Sophie Plaster got the letter, she ripped me a new one. She was a Phi Beta Kappa, and she couldn't understand, why is my son stupid? And even worse, he doesn't care.
A little bit of a reality check.
So Willie, here in theory should be where their advantage is. Okay, and I'm going to go back to a tired old thing that I've been using a bunch. Vandy's probably got more J.R. Ewing wannabes than a lot of schools. J.R. Ewing, for a younger audience, was this person that was on the show Dallas,
right,
on CBS. J.R. Ewing was a ruthless guy with deep pockets, had more money than he knew what the hell to do with. There's a scene in there where he flies a helicopter into Texas Stadium. They probably got the ability to conjure up more J.R. Ewing wannabes, people that have got more money than they know what the hell to do with.
And you're saying these people will be more interested now than maybe they used to be with this whole NIL thing?
Maybe. I mean, there's always been this concept of a team owner. And for a long time, the team owner was John Ingram.
Right. You've made this point that they have leaned on a smaller pool of people in that department than other schools traditionally.
Where, for instance, Clemson used to, brag about IPTAY. I pay $10 a year. Well, now these schools don't have the time for $10 a year. They need to go after the guy that's got, $400 million and is willing to give you $500,000, if you'll name a bathroom after him. By the way, Derek.
Yes.
Willie and I did a deal one time, Big Orange Caravan.
Oh, gosh.
And at this particular Big Orange Caravan, John Ward, the late, great University of Tennessee announcer, they announced that evening that the press box was going to be named after him. And Willie turns to me during a commercial and asks, "What do you think Vanderbilt will name after you?"
Did you answer that?
Well, I've seen exactly what it is. In this one particular parking lot there are about 4 porta potties.
Oh,
And I think one of them may have had my name on it.
You sure it wasn't Willie that slapped it on there?
well,
Do you remember that show, Willie?
oh yeah, absolutely. Boy, we had some great times with John Ward at that thing. Plaz, we got to run. Are you aware that the Braves have won today? And Chase
aware of
McCabe
it.
was at the game, so I'm sure he's going to be calling you for a post game party or something as he drives
Yeah,
back.
but he was also there last night when the bullpen pooped the bed. So we have to remember that. So, Willie, are you about to throw the line out to me? I hate to do this, but I got to run.
I thought about it. I thought about doing that, but that's kind of what needs to happen.
That's really nice.
Yes. Well, we'll do this again next week. We've enjoyed it. I go on George's show on Mondays. So, George, as you leave, tell people where they can find you, because I think like you and I are both getting old. You're older than me, but people who were used to us for years in the afternoon.
Stop, Willie. Because what you're saying is all the old people.
But we still get this. Hey, are you still on the radio?
Stop, Willie. Plaz, just
where
tell
can
us
I find your
where
show?
can they catch you, Plaz?
He's a guest on our show.
For all the old people, just tune into 94.9. And then when we ask for phone calls, get on your rotary phone and call us.
Yes.
And then for you younger people, I don't know, just figure it out. Google me up and see what comes up.
Yes, the George Plaster Show. You'll find it. Yes.
Oh, man.
As
Boy,
George
boy.
called it at the beginning, TV on the internet.
There you
That's
go.
kind of what it is. All right, Plaz, take care. I will see you at the Hawk tonight.
Okay, I'll send you a text later.
Okay, sounds good. George and I will be attending the Vanderbilt, Kentucky game.
Oh,
So
okay. All right.
whether you're young or old, you can see us at the ballpark. All right, when we come back, we'll move forward. We got a couple other things we want to hit with D Mace today. George will join us Thursdays at noon, and that will lead into our underdog picks when football season rolls around. You're listening to DVD here on 102.5 The Game. coming down the home stretch of DVD. Adam Vingan, Teron Davenport are in the slot today, normally occupied by Jared Stillman and Co. Everything is still in place. Everything is still in place after Joe Rexroad and Paul Kaharski had their time slot yesterday, where they started the show with constructive criticism of Jared. That was amusing. We'll see what Adam has up his sleeve. Adam is going to join us here in just a moment to transition.
I wonder how he's going to introduce the Jared Stillman and Company show. And like, I think Paul either said it or Rex said it. There's no company. It's like
there's no
Jared.
company. It's
There's
just
no
Jared.
company. It's just Jared.
That was a Kaharski sarcasm line that is right from his wheelhouse. So yeah, Adam does a sneaky good impersonation of Jared
Stillman.
Sneaky good. Yes, he does.
Yeah, see, we like to mess with you, Stillman, when you're not here, but because we know you're listening. That's why.
That's what we always think. He is listening.
Yes.
At all.
He's listening. He's listening. Let's believe.
Let me quickly tell you about Nashville's best deal of the week. Bavarian Beer House, conveniently located at Opry Mills Mall. Enjoy beer, food, music, and fun at Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, where it's Oktoberfest every day. Head to thegamenashville.com/deals, and you can get a $50 gift card for $25 to Bavarian Beer House while supplies last. Okay, D-Mace, we were just talking about what's going on in the NBA playoffs. And as we move forward, I find myself more and more watching. There's less games I've got to account for. So now I got my bread and butter. I got my hockey, got my NBA.
Down
flipping
to the Final
back and
Four
forth,
almost.
getting there. And so last night, pretty intriguing. The Celtics were facing elimination, and they had lost Jason Tatum. And they found a way to just blow out the Knicks. So it's now 3-2. They're going. Luke Cornett played a really good game those of you that are Vanderbilt fans. Came into the neighborhood of a triple-double. He had double digits in points. He may have gotten to double digits.
10 points,
did he
7 blocks, and
how many rebounds did he end up with? I know he had at least 9.
How many rebounds did he end up with? Was it 6? No, he had 6. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
I
don't have my
swear
glasses.
I saw the graphic.
Luke Cornett. No, you're right. He has 9. He has 7 defensive rebounds and 2 offensive rebounds.
So he was flirting with the triple-double.
Yes,
but either way, he gave him a nice lift. Everybody's got to give
he was
a little
plus
extra.
20.
Yeah, and you've got to pick up the slack when you lose a player like Tatum. So they had to recalibrate. So now you're going to have Madison Square Garden, great theater. Remember, the Celtics were down 0-2, and they won Game 3 easily at Madison Square Garden. Of course, that was while they still had Tatum. But I think it's going to be a little different vibe. I think there'll be some nervousness in New York. They're going to have all the celebrities there. Ben Stiller's in the front row. You got
Tracy
all
Morgan.
Yeah, they're all there.
Spike Lee, everybody.
Spike Lee, of course.
Kylie Jenner, everybody.
And they're on the cusp of going to a level where they haven't in a long time. But I think there's going to be a little bit of fear of, what if we lose this game and we got to go back to Boston for Game 7? We're going to have this opportunity slip through our fingers. We talked about with Elliot Friedman earlier in the show, the feeling in Toronto of they always in Toronto feel like there's impending doom. The Knicks are a little bit in that same category where they have been mocked for a while. They've had some bad teams. And when they've been okay, they haven't been able to bust through and get deep into the playoffs in a long, long time. So I think the Celtics have some hope here. Do you agree?
The only hope the Celtics have is the hope that they won yesterday, and they did. That's the only hope left for them. They are headed to Madison Square Garden, where I am going to say this because I'm putting on my tinfoil hat right now, Willie.
Okay.
I put it on. The NBA did not want, and I repeat, the NBA did not want the Celtics to lose that game at home. They wanted that game to go back to Madison Square Garden, where the Knicks could then end it on their home court. That's what the NBA wanted. That's what's best for the NBA, I think, at least. So I put on my tinfoil hat, and there you go. But listen, I think this is what happens. I think with teams, when a player goes down, like during one game, during the game, and then it's sort of now we got to try to fight. We got to rally now because now we got to find another way to win quickly because the way we wanted to win, he was a big part of it. And now we're so far in the game that we can't transition enough to pull it out. Well, what happens the next game? Now you're able to game plan. You know exactly what you're playing with, who you have, and how you're going to implement it. So now that you know you don't have Jason Tatum, now you shift everything. You allow a Luke Cornett to come in and play more minutes. Porzingis, he becomes a starter now, and now his minutes up. So now you got to switch and change everything. Now you become a bigger team. Why? Because Luke Cornett is playing more. Now, Hauser did come back. He ended up getting hit. Hauser's another excellent three-point shooter they have for Boston. So he ends up coming back. So that sort of takes a little bit of the pressure off of Jaylen Brown, who had an excellent game yesterday. Take the pressure off him to be that sole scorer. He had an excellent game. Hauser, I think, had a pretty good game. Luke Cornett was the addition that they needed. He had a really good game coming off the bench and sparking them. But they just got a all-around game from each and every player out there. Al Horford chipped in with 12 points. Derek White had 34 points. He shot lights out from the three-point line. Jaylen Brown. And then they had guys coming off the bench. So, but I do believe because the Knicks got in foul trouble very early, they were out of that game probably around the mid-third quarter because they did make a push. And then once Brunson got his fifth foul, they had to take him off to put him on the bench, and then Boston just ran away with it. I do believe now the game will not be called as closely as it was, and Brown and those Brunson and those guys will be able to finish the game, and the Knicks will finish this off. This is done for me.
All right, so you think the Knicks
I
take
think the
care
Knicks
of
will
it?
take it. Yeah.
The series that I think you could argue has been the best series, but it's a little bit off the radar because it's mostly later in the night that you got to watch. But the Thunder, who were 68-14, I think if you're a total casual,
They're the
NBA
best team in
fan
the league
who only watches in the playoffs, you may not be aware of how good the Thunder were in the regular season. 68-14. If you look at most wins of all time, that's higher up than you might realize. How rare 68 wins. Remember when Michael Jordan's team won 70 and how big of a deal that was? We're talking about 2 games shy of that. And the Thunder at the same time have gotten everything that they've wanted and more from the Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, who averages a triple-double while averaging almost 30 points a game, by the way. The guy's unbelievable. But what do you think of that? You've got a pretty good game tonight. If you just want to jump in and say, all right, tell me what we're talking about here. I need a game to watch tonight. I haven't been into the NBA. I think that would be a really good game to watch. The Nuggets and the Thunder have played entertaining ball, and you've got the Nuggets at home trying to force a Game 7.
Yeah, this has been going back and forth with OKC leading the series right now 3-2. And I think it's been a little bit closely contested than what people thought. Listen, Shai Gilgeous Alexander, if I'm pronouncing that his middle name.
Gilgeous.
Yeah.
Gilgeous. We're going to get this right eventually.
Shai Gilgeous
Alexander. Yeah.
He's been a monster. He will be the league's MVP. They've been riding him the whole season. Chet Holmgren has been a big plus for them. Guys on this team that have been, playing well. They have been playing well all season. This just didn't start, in the playoffs. This team has been playing well all season. Now, listen, this series with Denver hasn't gone the way that they thought it would go. They're not shooting particularly well, at least Shai Alexander. He's not shooting particularly well from the outside, meaning the three-point range. But they're doing enough because they have a complete team. The problem is they don't have anyone that can truly guard Jokic. Being at 7 foot, he's a point center. He does a lot of bringing up the ball and setting the offense. He's sort of kind of like at times like what you call it is with the Golden State Warriors. Why am I forgetting the name now? Michigan State guy. Why am I forgetting it?
Draymond?
Yeah, Draymond. Why am I forgetting Draymond's name? He's sort of like Draymond. He sets the offense at times. But they got a hell of a team. But they had a matchup problem, OKC, with Nikola Jokic. He scored, I think, close to 40 points, and Denver still lost. Because OKC went on a run late in the game, and they end up winning like I think 112 to 104, so 106. So this is going to be a good matchup, and I do expect this one to go 7 games.
Okay,
but I do
I'm with you
expect
on that.
OKC to win.
And I would really look forward to that, a game 7 in that series, because it has been fun to watch. All right, when we come back, we will wrap things up. Adam is going to join us. We'll be starting to transition into our regular time tomorrow. So we'll get a little quality time with Adam. DVD will be in full force, and Adam is going to take the reins, and he's got the afternoon show, Stillman and Company slot. He'll be leading that group. We'll let you know what's going on that part of the show, and we'll get Adam's take. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more. We're back here on DVD. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Adam Vingan is here, and you can feel the power. The three of us are back in the same room. It's going to happen tomorrow at our regular time, 11 to 2. I've had to read all the liners the last couple of days. Adam,
I'm
though,
sorry that you had to do that.
Adam has been bouncing around to every single time slot and part of the day. So his daily schedule has been completely uprooted.
Yes.
It's all Jared's fault.
It is all Jared's fault.
And today he has Stillman and company.
I do.
And so we will pass the torch to him and his crew. Who's your company today, by the way?
The one and only Jake Lyman will be joining me.
Yes.
I noticed Jake has his Vanderbilt V.
Yes,
on
and we will
today.
take you up to
Proud
Vanderbilt
graduate.
baseball coverage
Yes,
today.
and
at
they've got a big one
5:45.
against Kentucky tonight. Yes.
Teron Davenport will join us for the TD Power Hour as well. That does not change even when Jared isn't here. But yes, this will be my third time slot in 4 days because we
6
did 9
o'clock.
to noon Monday
9
and
to noon.
Tuesday.
That could be a record.
6 to 9 with Robbie yesterday.
That could be a 1 week record in the history of 102.5 The Game.
It could be.
Most time slots in 1 week.
That's why they call me the 5-tool player.
Now, what,
Nobody
D-Mace,
calls me
what
that.
what was it that we wanted Adam to look up
Oh, what was
yesterday
it
that
that
we
we
thought
wanted
he
him
could
to
have
look
in
up?
5 minutes?
How many? It was. What was it? How many teams or? Gosh,
I can't remember. But
David, what did we want Adam to look up yesterday? God, what was
I totally
that?
forgot.
I'll have to go back and
Yeah,
listen.
you have to look it up.
Do you remember when you said it?
It was toward the end.
it was towards the end of the show.
Okay.
And so it got me thinking because we feel like you've set an unofficial record for most time slots.
It was most
hosting in
teams.
1 week. This was a
Gosh.
similar thing, but we needed your expertise to find
I do
the
want to
info.
address something. So I actually did appear on the Stillman and Company program yesterday as I moderated Jared. It wasn't Jared
Right.
versus
And
Joe.
this was impromptu, right?
Yes.
They came up with this idea at the
Yes.
beginning of the
Joe
show.
called me at 3:15 and I said, "Aren't you supposed to be on the air?" And he said, "Do you want to moderate Joe versus Paul?" And I said, "Sure." So the question I asked was, how likely is Xavier Restrepo to make the Titans among other, and there was another part of that question too. And he said that he is predicting that Restrepo will make the team. And then later said he's giving him a 52% chance to make the team. And I ruled that, Joe, you can't say he's going to make the team and then say he has a 52% chance of making it.
No.
And Joe took umbrage with that and ranted about it this morning. And all I'll say, Joe Rexroad, is this. There are no last 2-minute reports in Joe versus PK or Jared versus Joe. So I will not be correcting myself. The judge's ruling is final. So even if I may have been hoodwinked a little bit by Paul Kaharski yesterday, the result is final.
You let Paul hoodwink you?
Well, then Paul predicted that Restrepo is not going to make the team.
He thinks he's not going to make it, huh?
And said he had a 28% chance of making it. So that was Rex Rhodes.
Now, were they
So you
asked
still
to
got a
give
chance to
percent-
make the
I
team.
did not ask for a percentage. I just said how likely.
But both offered a percent.
Exactly. So
Yes.
so there is a chance he may make the team. You said he isn't or he
Right.
is.
Joe
but did
started
you
his
give it-
response by saying
The Mavericks had a 1.8%
Exactly.
chance to win the lottery, and they won it.
And they won it.
Joe started his response
52%,
by
28%.
saying, I predict that Xavier Restrepo will make the team as the 6th receiver. I was like, all right, so he's making the team, not 52% making the team.
Yeah, he's making it.
He's
That's
make-
basically
Yes or
a
no?
coin flip.
Yeah,
That's a coin
yes
flip.
or no?
So Joe, again, there are no last 2-minute reports. Maybe in the NBA, but not on this station. So I'm sorry,
Okay.
Joe.
Did you? Did you feel like you moderated well? That the flow back and forth was good?
Yes,
in the-
I did get them to argue about the NBA, which is good. And then the final question was first to Paul, then to Joe. Please pay Jared Stillman a genuine compliment.
Okay.
Were they able to do it?
PK's was a little backhanded, I feel like.
No, not a shocker.
Joe's was fine.
Oh man.
But
So they really do like him. They really do like.
What did you think of Paul Kuharski's proclamation that Stillman and Company is not really a company? It's just Stillman.
that is true.
It's kind of true.
Yeah, you got a point there.
Yes. Since Caroline left the program, there's been no company.
Yeah.
It's not really much company.
No,
Just Stillman.
it's
Yeah.
just Stillman.
All right, Adam.
Yes.
Have fun.
We'll see you tomorrow
You're-
at 11
you're
o'clock.
properly warmed up. You're coming out of the bullpen, jogging towards the
Yes.
dugout. You're Taking the Mound song is about to play.
Yes, I don't know what that would be. I'll think about it.
All right. At 11 a.m., the three of us will be back in our time slot DVD tomorrow at 11 here on 102.5 The Game.
Be love on your people. Have safe, blessed, wonderful Thursday. Peace.